Egypt Sherrod became a popular face to HGTV fans through Married to Real Estate, where she and her husband Mike Jackson mixed home design with family life. Known for her strong business skills, Egypt built a strong connection with viewers who followed her journey on screen. But recent news about the show and her family has left many wondering what's next. So, join us as we spill what really happened to Egypt Sherrod. I cried. I was 23 years old when I purchased my first house. My mom came with me. I got the keys, and when I opened the door, not only did I cry, I kissed the hardwood floor. I mean, the reality that I owned a piece of the earth. I want that for everybody. In May 2025, after the finale of Season 4, Egypt Sherrod and her husband Mike finally took time off for a family vacation in the Mediterranean. It was a well-earned break after months of balancing parenting and work. For once, they could pause the cameras and simply enjoy being together as a family. The sun and calm sea offered the kind of peace they rarely found at home. However, their quiet escape didn't last long. Midway through the trip, an unexpected message popped up. HGTV had decided not to renew Married to Real Estate for another season. The news came as a shock. Egypt and Mike read the message several times, hoping there was a mistake. After all, the show had strong ratings and loyal viewers. Nothing suggested an end was coming. And so, what began as a joyful vacation suddenly began to feel like torture. Throughout the rest of their trip, Egypt tried to stay calm, but it was tough. When they finally returned home, the excitement that had marked the start of their vacation was gone. They came back under a cloud of confusion and disappointment. Once settled, Egypt decided it was best to address the situation herself. She broke the news in an Instagram post. In her post, she and Mike thanked their fans, the production crew, and the families who had opened their homes to them throughout the show. Her tone was calm and gracious, choosing gratitude over frustration. Egypt reminded everyone that not every setback is what it seems, suggesting that change might open a new chapter for them. She left her message on a hopeful note, keeping the door open for whatever came next. Her followers reacted with a wave of support. Thousands of comments poured in within hours. Many shared stories of how the show had inspired them to pursue home ownership or take bold steps in their lives. Others expressed disbelief that a program with such positivity and success could be cancelled. The outpouring of support showed how viewers connected to the couple and their story. The announcement also reached fellow HGTV stars. Because the network had not made any public statement, Egypt and Mike were the first to share the news. Personalities like Christina Hawk and Ty Pennington also expressed their support privately and in comments on social media. A few weeks later, a reliable source shared an insider's view of why HGTV was suddenly canceling so many shows, including Married to Real Estate. It is common knowledge that the entertainment industry has been facing steep increases in production costs. Filming delays had also become common, stretching budgets even further. To manage expenses, the network decided to focus on low-cost design content. Even with that explanation, the news was difficult to accept. For Egypt and Mike, the show represented years of work and genuine passion. Still, they refused to dwell on the loss. Egypt often spoke about trusting timing, and this time she leaned into that belief. While this was going on, there was a moment of poetic irony. In July 2025, just 2 months after the cancellation, Married to Real Estate was nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The show had been recognized for excellence only after it ended. Egypt and Mike shared the news in a heartfelt video. Smiling, they thanked their fans and team, saying the nomination proved that their work had made a lasting impact. The Emmy nod brought a wave of pride and healing. Fans celebrated the nomination across social media, calling it a well-deserved honor. It showed that even though the cameras had stopped rolling, the legacy of Married to Real Estate would continue to live on. The couple's authenticity and love for what they did had touched countless people. But just when Egypt thought life had tested her enough, another tragedy struck. A few weeks after she had just begun to process the shock of her show's sudden cancellation, Egypt faced another heartbreak. She shared in an Instagram post that her father had passed away. Her message was simple, yet it carried a pain that words could barely hold. It was another heavy moment that came when she was already struggling to recover from one loss. But that post was only the start of her grief. As the days passed, she spoke more about what this loss truly meant to her. She revealed that she had not seen her father in more than 15 years. According to her, life had pushed them apart over the years. What began as space soon turned into years of silence. Egypt said she had long forgiven him, but neither of them had taken the step to mend the gap. Now that he was gone, that chance was gone, too. And that truth sank deep into her heart. She opened up about how grief doesn't follow simple paths. It comes and goes without warning, hitting hardest when you least expect it. For Egypt, it came with memories she thought she had buried long ago. It was not just the pain of losing her father. It was the pain of losing the chance to make things right. She spoke of how regret grows when the person you wish to talk to is no longer there. Even though they had been apart for years, the loss still hurt deeply. What made it harder was knowing that her father had never met her children. She carried that thought like a weight she could never set down. In one of her reflections, she said that grief can teach you lessons no one wants to learn. She felt as though her father was reaching out through her thoughts, as if his memory was trying to show her that love does not fade even when people fail to show it. That moment gave her a little peace. Not closure, but comfort. It helped her believe that somewhere in ways she couldn't explain, he knew she had forgiven him. When she shared those feelings online, people felt her honesty. Her words struck a chord with thousands who had lived through the same kind of pain. The comment section was filled with messages from fans and strangers alike. People thanking her for putting into words what they had felt but could never express. They spoke of their own losses, of parents they never reconciled with, and of how her message reminded them that love, even broken, still matters. Egypt's loss came at a time when life had already tested her more than most could bear. Yet, through that pain, she found something she had been searching for all along, and that was clarity. She learned that life is too short to hold grudges and too fragile to wait for the perfect moment to make peace. Losing her father taught her that love must be shown while there is still time and forgiveness must be spoken while it can still be heard. If you've been an avid follower of Egypt, you would agree that her life has always looked perfect from the outside. A thriving career, a loving family, and a hit show. But behind the smile was a woman carrying battles that the cameras never captured. As she pushed forward trying to make a name for herself in the industry, another storm hit. In April, she opened up on social media after an article from the New York Times portrayed her in a bad way. The article, which spoke negatively about her and her husband, claimed that they hardly did the work shown on Married to Real Estate, describing it as a polished reality show rather than a true renovation series. For Egypt, the article was more than criticism. It dismissed her years of hard work, the long nights, and the physical effort that went into every project. On the show, she spends countless hours at construction sites handling designs and racing against deadlines like any other builder. To see all that reduced to a false impression felt hurtful. However, Egypt did not stay silent. She made a post on her social media account addressing her followers with honesty. She explained that success on television does not come easy. The show might look glamorous, but behind every beautiful home were long days and sacrifices. To make her point clear, she recorded herself at one of her work sites. The video showed her surrounded by walls still being painted and limewashed. These were scenes far removed from the polished home seen on television. She wanted people to understand that every episode came from real effort, not staged perfection. She had built her name on hard work and she was not going to let anyone take that truth from her. But the issue went beyond what the article said. The publication also handled her interview in a way that hurt more. Egypt and Mike had sat together to share their story. They spoke about family and how they built their brand together. They even posed for photos, expecting that the images would show them as partners. But when the story came out, only Egypt's photo was used. Mike was left out completely. To her, that choice felt intentional. It erased the man who had stood beside her through every stage of their journey. The piece made it look like she was the sole force behind their success, ignoring the partnership that made their business thrive. The show had always been about family and the bond between two people building something together. Seeing that story twisted into something else didn't sit well with her. She later shared that the moment reminded her how easily public stories can shape perception. One photo or one headline can change how people see you. She refused to let that happen. Egypt reminded her followers that Married to Real Estate was never about one person. It was about love, teamwork, and trust both at home and on the job. Her fans also reasoned with her and stood by her. They filled her comment section with messages of support, praising her strength and honesty. Many shared their own experiences of being overlooked despite their hard work. Her openness gave others a reason to speak about the same struggles they had faced in their careers and relationships. Through it all, Egypt stayed composed. She did not try to explain her success to everyone. Instead, she continued to show her truth through action. Every project she completed and every client she satisfied spoke louder than any article. The situation reminded her that fame does not protect anyone from being misunderstood. It also taught her that silence lets others control the story. So, she decided to keep telling her story one project and one honest moment at a time. With that being said, let's find out how she joined HGTV's Married to Real Estate. Egypt's rise in the entertainment industry didn't happen overnight. Her early years were filled with challenges that shaped her into the woman she is today. Growing up, life was far from easy. There were nights when she slept in a small closet, curled up beside hanging clothes, dreaming of a brighter future. In that cramped space, her imagination became her refuge. She pictured a life where comfort and purpose surrounded her. Unlike many youngsters, those long nights didn't weaken her spirit. They made her stronger. In that tiny room, Egypt began to understand what it meant to hope. She pictured bright open rooms filled with warmth and light. The sounds of her grandparents talking in the next room gave her comfort, reminding her that love and hard work could make even the smallest home feel rich. Watching them care for their family with so little taught her what endurance truly meant. Those lessons became the first foundation of her story. Her childhood was not just a memory of struggle, but a source of strength. Egypt learned early that where she started did not have to determine where she would end up. The small space that once felt limiting became the place where her dreams took shape. After her basic education, she went on to earn a bachelor's degree in broadcasting and telecommunications from Temple University. After earning her first degree, she went on to study theater at New York University's Tisch School. While doing that, she also worked toward real estate credentials, earning certifications, and building her reputation in the industry. However, before she became a household name, she was in the media space, hosting radio programs. Her radio career began early. She hosted jazz programs and then rose to become a music director. Over the years, her voice brought interviews and personal connections into listeners' homes. She interviewed prominent figures like Oprah Winfrey and Leonardo DiCaprio. After years as an on-air personality, Egypt grew tired of covering celebrity gossip and entertainment news. She started thinking seriously about changing her path. Growing up around real estate brokers, she saw it as a stable way to earn income for the future and a backup plan if her radio career ever slowed down. Her experience in broadcasting gave her an advantage. Through her interviews with well-known personalities, she had already built valuable connections that later became part of her real estate clientele. At 24, she bought her first home, marking the start of a new chapter. But there was a downside for Egypt. A large portion of her profits was going to real estate agents' fees, and she wasn't comfortable with that. In 2002, she decided to get her own license, becoming a certified agent. Over time, she expanded her work beyond buying and selling homes, adding interior design to her growing real estate career. With that, her businesses now include Really Services, a design group, and a home furnishings line. She approaches homes not just as assets, but as living spaces. To her, houses should feel personal and beautiful. Her goal is to make design work for everyday life, not just impressive looks. One fateful day while hosting her radio show, Egypt received a call from a casting director who wanted to know if she would be interested in hosting a new property show. Curious, she agreed to meet and later auditioned for the role. Her energy and knowledge of real estate impressed the producers, and that opportunity became Property Virgins, the show that introduced her to a national audience and marked the start of her television career. With her growing exposure on TV, Egypt gained further attention when she appeared in the 2012 movie Life, Love, Soul. Away from the camera, Egypt's influence extends to live events and motivational platforms. She has become a highly sought-after speaker and moderator, admired for her ability to connect with audiences through relatable stories. She hosted the stage at Oprah Winfrey's The Life You Want tour, engaging thousands with her energy and authenticity. Her expertise and charisma also made her a regular guest on programs such as Dish Nation, The Steve Harvey Show, Showbiz Tonight, and others, where she shares insights and commentary on trending topics. Over the years, she became a respected host. So, when the opportunity with HGTV came up, the transition felt natural, but it was not handed to her. She and Mike had to create the opportunity themselves. During the 2019 disease outbreak, the couple sat together and mapped out an idea for a show. Their vision was simple: to let viewers into their real world as a family who designs, renovates, and builds homes while raising children. Instead of waiting for someone to notice them, they pitched the concept directly. That leap of faith turned into Married to Real Estate, which brought their story into millions of homes and showed that their partnership worked as powerfully off-screen as it did on-screen. However, since the camera stopped rolling on Married to Real Estate, Egypt hasn't slowed down. She shifted her energy into projects that reflect her passion for business, family, and community. One of her biggest steps has been the launch of 1,000 Women-Owned, a nonprofit she co-founded with her husband. The mission of her initiative is to support 1,000 women-owned businesses by the year 2030. Egypt believes that too many women hold back because of doubt, fear, or lack of resources. Through this scheme, she is creating a network of support that helps women turn their ideas into lasting enterprises. Aside from this, she continues to lead her Atlanta-based real estate firm, Indigo Road Really, and the design branch Indigo Road Design Group. These companies keep her connected to the business that made her name, serving clients who want a touch of her brilliance. But that's not all. Egypt has also stepped into a new role as a partner with TurboAx Business. Drawing from her own journey of managing multiple ventures, she and Mike now help small business owners understand taxes and financial planning. They share how moving their operations to QuickBooks and using TurboTax saved them countless hours and reduced stress. So whether through her nonprofit, her real estate brand, or her work with TurboTax, Egypt continues to prove that her influence goes far beyond television. She is building businesses, creating opportunities, and inspiring others to take control of their future.